Hey guys, Jimmy Williams again with another informative video. This is module number 8. Wow, we are cooking, guys. We are on a roll here. And I couldn't be more fired up about this next module. I'm telling you, man, this is one of the most critical modules. I mean, of course, they're all important, but when it comes to you laying down a foundation for your business and building your credibility, there's nothing probably more important, I think, in the area of building credibility than aggressive vetting, or in other words, vetting the people you work with, your buyers, your sellers, your entire team, your whole infrastructure has to be vetted properly. Everyone you're doing business with, particularly the buyers and the sellers that you're working with, that you're networking with. So this module is called Aggressive Vetting 101. And I think you guys need to take a pen and write down some of this stuff what I'm going to be covering today, because it can literally make or break your business. It can take you to from one level in your business to the next. And if you want to become great in this business, you have to be extra careful in who you choose to work with. That can, your vetting process, guys, can mean the difference of you making $100,000 a year or $2 million a year, or the difference of $2 million a year to $10 million a year. It's directly proportionate to the people you work with. You often hear me say this: you're going to be as wealthy and as influential as your closest 5 associates or people you really work closely with. All right. You can't choose your family, because we were born with them. Our parents, and mother, father, brothers and sisters and all that. But you can choose who you're going to do business with. And this is a word to the wise, the people you do business with say a lot about you. I mean, there's no other way around it. You can be as honest as you can be all day long, but if you're trying to get a business deal done and this person you're working with has a tendency to associate you with, someone who doesn't keep their word, even though you might be a good guy, you might be a good woman or a good man. But if you're trying to do business with people that see you hanging out with the wrong group of people, or they're judging your credibility based on the people you're connected to, or who you're working for, or the people you vouch for, if those people are not people of integrity, you tend to be looked at the same way as well. In one of my later modules, I do talk about the power of integrity and why I choose integrity even over the money that I make in business. I'll go over all that. But I want to get into this whole thing about vetting, because I've seen a lot of businesses crash and fail. I see a lot of individuals, they get heartbroken because they decided to jump in business with someone that they haven't vetted, or they tend to go and try to get a deal done without all the pieces together, and the people that's on their team, they haven't vetted them properly. So when they go to the next person to get a deal done, it falls apart. The deal never had a chance to survive, because the people that they go to who's trying to work with them are looking in going, you know what? Those are not credible sources. And as I said before, the danger in not vetting your potential buyers or sellers properly, okay, there's a tremendous danger in it. The biggest danger that's in it is the credibility. You can lose that, okay? Credibility is the most important asset that you can risk when you don't vet properly. Some people say, well, what's credibility an asset? Credibility is all you have is your words, guys. Your business, your whole foundation is laid upon your word, what you say. I mean, your word is, you ever heard the terminology, your word is bond? Your word is your bond. Your word is you. Well, that's actually true. When you're dealing with real estate, you're dealing with, multiple millions of dollars on deals. You're dealing with property. You're dealing with contracts. You have attorneys and lawyers and all these people involved, contractors, the legal aspects of it, all of that goes with it, title companies, the escrow account, everything about real estate, all the facets of it is going to boil down to one thing. Are you doing business the right way? And if you don't handle the vetting process properly, if you don't figure out a way to get to the right people, the right companies to work with, which can take sometimes it can take a couple of weeks, sometimes it can take a couple of months to find good sources. If you don't do that properly, it's going to hamper your business from excelling, and it's going to hurt your foundation. All right. Now, one of the things that most people don't really understand is, when you first get started with this, with vetting, sometimes, you guys may not have the opportunity. You may not have, the money, especially if you're a newbie and you're watching this. You may not have the money to go out and hire a virtual assistant or hire, a call center to vet, to vet the people, the prospects you're working with. So let's say you put an ad out there and you're looking for a buyer, right? And you guys know my methods. I talk about how to do it in Craigslist, how to do it on Craigslist and newspaper advertising and, Facebook and Instagram. I talk about all that. You go put the ad out there and you say certain things in the ad that actually it causes certain people to stay away from you and certain people to call you. Now, I structure the ad for the sole purpose to run away tire kickers. Tire kickers is another word for somebody who's a fake, who's not legit. They're not the real buyer, or they're not the real seller. There actually could be a wholesaler or some kind of broker posing as the seller or posing as the buyer. I mean, guys, we have respect for brokers. I have a ton of real estate brokers that I work with. But respectfully, they are not the actual owners. They represent the owners. They're not the sellers. They represent the sellers. They're not the buyers. They represent the buyers. But when you place an ad, you're not trying to reach the broker. You're trying to reach the head person, the actual person. So the problem is, when you put that ad out there, you don't know who you're going to get on the other side. The ad says no brokers, no tire kickers, no middlemen, no wholesalers, cash buyers only, with the ability to show a proof of funds and a letter and the letter has to be from an attorney that they have the ability to buy, or it has to be a letter from their bank that they have the money to buy, or a letter from the company that's going to finance them if the property's worth $100 million. They can sometimes give you a letter from the person, the company that's going to finance them, and that's legit. But when you put that ad out there and they pick up the phone and call you, that does not mean that they're going to be the real buyer or the real seller. Why is that? Because here's the key. Some people, when they see a really good deal online, here's something I want to share with you guys. If they see a good deal, you're posting an ad, if it's in a newspaper, wherever it is, sometimes they want more information, so they'll lie. They won't tell you that they're not the real person. So here's where the vetting process comes in. So one of the things I always tell people to do is, if you don't have time to vet yourself, then you need to build yourself a team of people that will work with you in a conglomerate where you'll work together. Some of you'll take calls together sometimes. And then when the overall deal is done, when you finally find the buyer, you do the vetting, and you guys split the profits in the end. That can work, okay? So that's what I'm going to talk about now, how to put together a team to help you vet your buyers, because a lot of you newbies, you don't have them. Again, you don't have the money to do that. You don't have the money to hire, a virtual assistant or someone who can do that. All right. So what you'll have to do, and let's just get right into this. When you have a team, let's say 4 or 5 of you, if you guys come together, you decide, hey, I'm going to put some ads out, and I can't answer all the calls, or I can't email everyone back. I'm going to need everyone on the team to pitch in. So how I would structure is, I would find the person, if it's 4 or 5 of you, find the person who's pretty aggressive when it comes to getting on the phone and asking certain questions. Because, emailing is one thing. You can email a spreadsheet. My mentor taught me this. You can email the person who says they're a buyer a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet will tell them, this is the list of things that I need first to know that you're a real player or you're a real buyer. And if you can provide these things, then we can have a phone call. Because as they're used to getting on the phone, if you email them, they come back and say, well, I don't have that information. Then that will be the first level of the vetting process that they failed. So it would do no good for you to get on the phone with them. That's a total waste of time. So the steps of vetting is, and I do it in my public group. If someone wants to come on, in my public Facebook group, and they want to go in there and advertise, I send them a form to fill out. That's the first step for them to be considered. So I need to get something from them on paper saying that they're a real lender, they're willing to sign a contract, abide by the rules, and then if they don't fill that out within 24 to 48 hours, why would I call them and vet them? That's a total waste of time. They haven't followed instruction number 1. So let's back up. So what you do is, you do the same thing in this case. If you put ads out there the first thing you're going to do when they respond, and again, find the most aggressive person in the group of 4 or 5. If you have a team of people, have that one guy, reach out, man or woman, reach out to them via email. Take your time and build a list of things that the seller or the buyer, whoever you're trying to bring in, they have to go through that list and sign off on it. Yes, I have an LLC. Yes, I have a letter from an attorney. I have a real bank statement that I can show you for proof of funds. Yes, I can get a letter from my attorney saying I have the funds. Yes, I have a bio. If they say no to any of those and that you're requiring, that's an immediate red flag. So that's the first level of the screening. The first level would be, when they respond, you send them something via email and tell them to follow the instruction. Once you get that back, if it all comes back good and they do what you say, then you can go to the second part. You can actually call them now and say, hey, listen, thank you for letting me know you have all these documents. Thanks for sending the documents. I'm going to call and do a vetting over the phone. Because sometimes just because they give you docs doesn't necessarily mean that they're the real person still. They could still be lying. They could be making it up. They could go to Google and download this stuff. You never know, right? That's how this business works. So before I talk about the second level of vetting, which is the first level, is that's the foundational level. If they can't follow the instructions and send over the docs and reply back to your email, that's the first. They fail the first part of vetting, right? So that's the first level. There's 3 levels I'm going to go over. That's the first level. All right, but let's go back over this, what we wrote here. So you're putting the team together. Again, I highly advise you get the most aggressive person in the group and have them do the initial reach out, okay, and send the email, introduce themselves, and say, hey, listen, fill out these docs. When we get those back, then we'll call you for the second level of the vetting process. All right. What you need to do, though, is before you do all that, you want to sit down your team, explain to them that they'll be paid at closing once your company gets its portion of the 3% fee. That's the buyer's fee, okay, if it's a multifamily deal, from the buyer, all right? And possibly form an LLC and structure the operating agreement where everyone has a position and is paid equally. Now, if you guys are watching this for the first time, you may not know what this is, but I'm going to go over it really, really quick what this is. So in this particular scenario, I'm talking about strictly people who are, your whole team, and you have property you're trying to move, multifamily, and you're putting ads out there to find buyers. So basically what you would do is, everyone would have to split that 3% fee, because we all know multifamily, we're paid on when the buyer pays the 3% at the closing. So when they pay it at the closing, everyone in the middle of the deal, from the broker, to the 2 brokers, from the one on the buyer, one on the seller, then you have 4 or 5 people in the middle. And I'm primarily talking about those people in the middle for your team. These will be your teammates in the middle. You guys come together being one conglomerate. I discussed that on several videos, guys. All right, if you haven't seen that, ask for it. I'll send the video to you. Again, email me if you have any questions. And let's take it from there, because that's a very important step. All right, let me put up my website really quick here. You're going to come to my website here, and if you want to know anything about the vetting process or how I actually discussed what to do when you're trying to bring everyone together as one conglomerate, and to put everyone on an LLC when you're doing a deal, a multifamily deal, you're going to email me here, or you can email me at mentoring at JW Acquisitions, or you can use admin at, okay? I didn't want to get sidetracked there, but pardon me, but that's what you're going to do. But in this particular case here, I'm just explaining how everyone's going to get paid, so everyone wants to work. Because remember, if you don't have money to pay everyone, you guys are working practically up front on straight. I don't want to use the word commission, because when you get paid on a multifamily deal, it's not a commission. It's actually a fee. It's a buyer's fee, a fee that they pay. But everybody's working for a fee at the end. If we were working on a company and they didn't pay us until we get a deal, we close, we make a sale, you'd be working on commission. But I don't use the word commission for the sake of real estate. It's not a word that we use when it comes to getting paid on multifamily deals if we're not brokers, okay? But basically, everyone's on the same page. So now we know how everybody's going to get paid. So everybody needs to get to work. So back to what I was saying. Okay, so the first method was, we contacted them. They contacted us. We emailed them. We had our strongest person, We had the strongest person email them, the person who's most aggressive. Okay, contact them to break that ice and say, listen, these are the documentations we're going to need for the vetting process. Fill them out. Provide this. Provide the letter from a bank, your bank manager if you have it, or letter from your attorney. This is proof of funds I'm talking about. And or you can show us a bank statement, and or you would need to have them provide a biography. Tells you exactly what they're what they bought in the past and that type of thing. And so basically you have an idea of what that buyer has bought from someone else. They look like they're a real legit buyer, right? And it's still hard to tell because again, anyone can make up a bio, right? But let's say they send all that, you get all that stuff done, and you're good to go. All right? They come back with it. Now here's where the second part comes in, the second part of the vetting process. That's going to be where you actually have someone who's not too aggressive call them. The most aggressive person breaks the ice. All right? So if you have a team of 3 or 4 people, the second head person that's going to make the person that's going to call is probably going to be the guy right in the middle, not the man or woman that's in the middle. That's not too aggressive, but not too easy either. Right in the middle, has good tone, good inflection, good customer service skills. Remember, you're not trying to sell anyone here. You're trying to vet them. Selling and vetting are 2 different things. Selling, you're trying to actually, you're trying to project how good the product is so you can make a sale. With vetting, you're trying to break down that person to get to see exactly if they're who they say they are. That's a totally different way of methodology. You're not trying to sell them anything, okay? So if you need help writing a script, and this is where you're going to need to write a script, you guys, again, contact me here, and someone from my team, if it's not myself, will kind of show you how to write a script or write a script for you, depending on your verbiage and what you're trying to do, okay? This is my website here, jwacquisitionsanddevelopment.com, all right? But you would need to have a good script when you contact them. So now that you've done the first part, write a simple script for your reps to use when they're calling you to vet prospects. So when they call them, you want your script to be very simple and to the point. Here's what you're going to say. Hello, my name is Jimmie from JW Acquisitions and Development. We saw that you actually fill out all the documentation for the first part of our processing for vetting. And what you say to them, let them know that they've accomplished something. Say, hey, listen, you've passed the first stage of that because we're looking for a qualified buyer, and there's three steps to it. You've passed part 1. I'm calling you to do the physical, we're calling you on the phone to do the verbal vetting process with you, person to person over the phone. That's what you say to them. And I'm going to ask you a few questions. No, you go right to your questions. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions about your business and about your bio? Because you're going to talk about what you want to do now is you want to talk more about them and what they said they bought, what they've done based on their bio. And then you just want to you want to ask certain questions to see if you're still dealing with, you're dealing with the real person who's the actual billfold. When I say the billfold, this is the person that actually has the money to buy. Now, guys, if this is for selling, if you're looking for sellers, it's the same process in reverse. Okay? If you're looking for a person who owns a property and you're vetting to find out if they're the real person, not a broker, you're going to ask them similar questions, but in reverse. That's all. All right? So if you're asking them, do you really own this property? You're not going to just say it like that, but you're going to ask them certain questions about their bio. Hey, I see on your bio that you own several properties, and and you're looking for, and right now we're looking for off-market deals, and we see that you're a seller. Now, what you would do if it's a seller, the question is going to be a little bit different because the main thing we want to find out is, does that seller have possession of that property? Can they prove that they actually own the property? They would need to show us something like a deed. So you would say, could you now provide us with, even though they sent it to you in an email, could you actually provide us with a phone number to, and you want to physically talk to someone else, right? Even though you're talking to them, but you can say, hey, listen, do you have any references of anybody who's actually done business with you and can speak well of you? Generally, this is for buyer and seller. I generally try to ask for 2 to 3 references. Because just because they're talking big shot, like they got all these properties, or their big shot buyer. You always want to find out who they're connected to. So whether it be a buyer or seller, if the seller's telling you, yeah, I own this property over here, buyer says, I've owned that property over there, I've done this, I've done that. Please, sir or ma'am, can I have 2 or 3 references? And they say yes. Okay, great. And then you just stop right there. You don't have to keep going. Once they give you the references, that's part number 2. Okay, so when you speak to them over the phone, all you're doing is reassuring. You're going to go over everything that you collected from them in the email. Whenever you actually you initially reached out to them and you got that information from them, you got enough information to say, okay, now they gave me numbers. I can go call the bank, and you did all that due diligence and all that. When you get them on the phone now, all you're trying to do is get references from them. When you get those 2 or 3 references, part 2 of the vetting process is over. So far, let's recap. So far, they've identified, they've told you, they're giving you a bio, they're giving you references. If it's a buyer, they're giving you a phone number to their attorney, so you can check with their attorney to see if they have the funds, or they're giving you a letter from a bank manager, and they're giving you a bio of themselves and a bank statement. If it's a seller, the seller has given you, they've shown you proof that they own the property through a deed or something like that. They sent you a bio, and they've also sent you other properties that they might own. Those are the 3 main things right there. All right. So they sent you that through the first phase. You checked all the references. You checked everything out. It's all good. Second phase, you call them, buyer or seller. All right. And again, you don't have the most aggressive person do that. Somebody right in the middle, good tone and inflection, and you gather the references that you can call. Okay. You can have them email it to you in the first part of it for phase 1. But when you get on the phone, talk to them and ask them in person, because generally if they have really good references, they can throw a name or a company off the top of their head. These are the kind of, when you're dealing with these people, you gotta listen to their body language. So you can't see body language, but you can hear, because I've been in sales so much and I've worked for eBay and other companies when I was in customer service. I can listen to body language by how they sound on the phone. If they start stuttering and backing up and they don't want to give you information, they may not be who they say they are. Again, you can't always judge them that way, but I'm a pretty good judge of character when it comes to, when people are not being 100% honest. You can tell in the inflection and the tone. And if you start asking for references, they start fumbling around. That's not a good thing. That means that they're by themselves, and they can't really prove that they have other people, an association or a group of people that they work for or can vouch for them. Generally, guys, most of these people that have tons of money and done deals, they have other people that can vouch for them. They have other companies that they work with. All right. So that's how that works. So what I would do is that's what I would do. That's part 2. And then say, hey, ma'am or sir, have a great night. Have a great day. I appreciate you, giving me that information. We'll get back to you in 24 to 72 hours. Generally, that's the time frame. All right. Generally, let me just say this. A really good bio from the buyer or seller will let us know if they're serious or not. Okay. For the buyer, they'll need to provide a proof of funds. I talked about that to go along with the bio. But the seller will have to show proof of ownership of the property. We just talked about that, title deed. But guys, if they obey and do what we ask them to do, and we do everything, we check the references in 72 hours, and they come back within 72 hours, and we can get on the phone and vouch for the people that they're saying they work for, it's a done deal. And kudos to them. And you actually did the vetting process the right way. This is very short to the point, but if you follow this method, you're going to be fine. Okay? And that's basically it. That's all I have to cover. Guys, follow this method. You're going to save yourself millions of dollars and lots of headache. And I'll see you at the top or on the next video. Bye-bye.